All right. Give me just a moment. I was ready to go. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining our webinar. I'm here with the co-founder and CEO of Confido Legal, Emery. I'm Jay. I'm the manager of customer success at Lean Law. And at Lean Law, we're aiming to to help law firms really run better businesses. Emery, what about you?
Yeah, so Confido Legal, it's a digital integrated payments platform specifically designed for the legal space. So we move money for law firms in a way that helps them easily comply with the rules of professional conduct.
Fantastic. And in this webinar specifically, we're going to be digging into just how to increase revenue. And Emery, you had an experience mainly with business to business, right? And paying your attorneys. And how has that gone?
Yeah, so I kind of, I come at this the industry really from the client's perspective. So I worked at a 250 person, $50 million company. So kind of a smallish business. And one of my roles was managing all the relationships we had with the different law firms that the company worked for. And over the years I was there, I reviewed and paid millions of dollars in legal bills. And one of the, you'll be shocked to know that as a client, getting a legal bill with a bunch of time entries, stapled together is not the most amazing experience. It's not the best part of your day. But what frustrated me the most was that once I had reviewed and kind of approved the invoice, there really wasn't an easy way to just get the money to the firm. And so I'd always put the invoice on the bottom of the pile and only pay it when, they followed up for the third time. And so being in the kind of the payment space and understanding financial technology and seeing what best practices were being implemented at places like Amazon, Uber, where all of the friction really has been removed from the payments experience.
So
I
easy.
really saw the opportunity to bring that level of kind of tight payments integration to law in a way that allowed firms to continue to comply with their ethical rules. So I really come at this from the client experience. I'm super passionate about the client experience, but what I didn't know initially is the kind of negative financial impact that all that friction has on the firm. And that's going to be more of our topic today, but that's kind of how I'm coming at this. So
Yeah.
I know you've had some experiences working at client experiences with a few law firms as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. I had to, it's obviously not great that having to hire an attorney is not exactly an ideal day, especially as, if it's B2C, I'm hiring an attorney for a reason. I'm not having a good time already.
Yeah.
So, I was hiring an attorney and we set up the consultation. Everything was going smoothly, and then they said, "Okay, great, pay us through Venmo." And I was like, what? Hello? Like I use Venmo to send money to like my friends if I want to pay for my slice of the pizza that we ordered or something, not to pay my attorney for showing up to court for me. That's wild.
You don't want to show
So
off to your friends that you're paying the attorney.
got sued on the message in Venmo. So, not something I was looking forward to. And honestly, after paying through Venmo, I had to pay for that consultation. I never hired them again. Did not go back to that attorney. So it wasn't a pleasant experience. And to your point, when you were mentioning how it goes to the bottom of the pile, with growing up with my dad had so many businesses and he would run them until they grew so much he couldn't run them anymore. And then he'd stop that one and move to a new business. And I remember his approach was always, and the reason why he grew so much was thinking of that, of how do we get our invoice? You have, when you're running a business, you have all these invoices. How do you make sure that your product, your services, that invoice is the top of the pile, the one that gets paid
Hmm.
first?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was extremely critical, especially to, just run a good business. So Emery, one of the things that I hear a lot from Lean Law customers is, especially people who are not yet adopting e-payments, their system, they say that their system works, that paper checks are just fine. Why would they want to pay money to accept a payment?
Yeah. No, I think it's a super important question, and hey, we have a slide on it. Because yeah, I mean, if you strip away all of the I'll call it like soft costs, a check is free. Like there is, most banks don't charge anything for you to deposit a check. So why then would you pay money to run a transaction? Which I think is a really important question that we as a company always keep coming back to, is like, what is the value that somebody's getting by going from free to paying for that transaction? And we really think about, like, there's four different things. The most important is improved collection rate. So of the percentage of invoices you send out, you should be collecting a higher percentage, because of your digital payments and digital billing system. And this is really this is the headline of the talk today. Like, by improving your collection rate, you are, on a cash basis, increasing your revenue. But more importantly, the legal work for that revenue has already been done. So improving your collection rate is actually way more powerful than generating revenue in some other way, like by bringing on a new client, because all that revenue is basically dropping straight to the bottom line.
Mhm.
It's pure profit. So by making a small change in your collection rate, a small improvement, you're making a small change in revenue, but a big change in profit, because that revenue is dropping straight to the bottom line. And I don't think law firms think about this enough. They're not tracking it enough in general. Some firms are, but a lot of them aren't. And that has a huge or a huge impact on the underlying economics of the business of a firm. So that's number one. And I should mention, like, a lot of firms won't necessarily get all four of these things, but you should be getting at least one, and the value you're getting from that one or multiple should outweigh the cost of transaction by a lot.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's all
Um,
about the value you're getting.
and so number two would be convert more of your accounts receivable into cash, or convert it faster, basically. So, the average law firm gets paid somewhere between 30 and 60 days. Let's say 60 days, you've got 2 months of your revenue that's basically totally inaccessible to you. Like, you can't invest accounts receivable, you can't distribute accounts receivable to partners. Um,
Could you
there's
imagine that conversation with the partner, just showing up to the partner and saying, "Oh yeah, your paycheck is actually delayed 60 days now because we just haven't gotten paid yet."
Yeah, totally. So, and I think, everybody kind of focuses on profit, but there can be a major cash impact by just taking that invoice that you were going to get in 45 days and moving it even to 30 days. That's half a month of revenue right there, that you could then invest in the firm, distribute to partners, what have you. So, converting accounts receivable into cash faster. Third, and we already kind of, beat this one to death earlier because it's passionate, we're both passionate about it, but improving the client experience. And I think in a lot of consumer practice areas, especially, there's been a lot of kind of studies done that many people won't even hire a law firm if they don't have a digital payments.
Subject zero right here.
Um, and I think, my experience coming from kind of a B2B, as a B2B law firm client, it's important to remember that you may have only business clients, but there is still a human being on the other end of that invoice. And that human being has a Amazon account, they've got Lyft, Uber, they know what it's like to make that really easy. And to your point, Jay, it's going not on the top of the pile, but the bottom of the pile if it's not easy.
Yeah.
So improved client experience matters a lot. And then number four is just being able to automate your internal workflows. And of course, that reduces overhead. So, if you're still shuffling through like incoming wire transfers or checks that not really sure where this goes, who paid it, what invoice does this go to? That's super time consuming and just something that can be totally, automated with tools like Lean. So,
I
um,
I have, oh my gosh, just this week I was talking with a law firm who, and it's not just the automation of the internal workflows to reduce the overhead, it's also to reduce the error rates. I had this
totally.
law firm who was just accepting paper checks, right? They were only on paper checks, and their trust accounting got messed up. Um, and they needed to deposit those checks and record those deposits, but they had done it on the wrong trust. It was a hot mess. And I had to spend at least an hour going matter by matter, client by client, just to make sure that their trust accounts were actually correct. We still couldn't get it 100%. We got most of the way there, but we still couldn't get it 100%. And again, we spent an hour on the call.
Mhm.
Imagine if an attorney spent an hour having to troubleshoot an invoice. That's wild. So reducing the error rate, that whole conversation would not have existed if they were just using Confido Legal and just automate the whole process.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just to kind of summarize this, always, we're always thinking about it. I think law firms should be thinking about it if they're, deciding whether or not to kind of invest in this. There should be value that's being achieved. It's not just a foregone conclusion that you should use this, I think. So comparing it to that sort of nominally free kind of paper check process where there isn't a transaction fee. If you are going to pay a transaction fee, what are you getting out of it? And it should be at least one, ideally multiple of these four things. So
Absolutely. 100%. Now, what's interesting is one of the questions that I hear a lot from firms is this is just it's too much change. We're happy with our clients, we're happy taking checks, our clients are happy sending us checks. Yeah, it sounds all those points sound great, but how are we even going to convince the partners or the firm to adopt it?
yeah,
So,
I mean, I think
so
yeah,
oh, go
that's
ahead.
definitely a challenge. Like change is hard, and there's a lot of strategies for kind of dipping your toe in the water. I think one of the great things about the way that you all have implemented the kind of digital payments option is that it's not necessarily kind of like um, you know something that you need to like force clients to do. Like you could still have the exact same language on your invoice saying, hey, send a check here to this address. But if you want the digital option, here, and Lean Law has great tools to, if we're thinking about sort of one and two here, to track how do those change? Do I improve the chances of
Mm.
getting paid? Um, and of course, that hits revenue and profit, or does it speed up? And you know we've done that analysis on Lean Law and seen that it does in
Oh
fact
yeah.
speed up.
Oh,
Um,
I have a great story about that too. I was talking to this mid-size firm. They were using Zelle for forever. Which, comes with additional fees. They had to do the manual, okay, whose Zelle payment is this? It came from this random, I don't know, 412 number. Is this our client? And so they had for 2 years resisted actually getting onto Confido Legal. They were kind of slow in the uptake. Um, Finally, when they hit the on switch to take the payments, In literally the span of 1 hour, they received over $30,000 in past due payments. And the moment they hit the on switch, I remember I was talking with the firm operator there, and she said that she hit, to connect, and she got a call from a client immediately saying, "Is there any way I can just pay you guys with a card or ACH or anything?" And she was able to take the payment right there over the phone immediately, solved, fully paid. That's when we talk about like increasing the speed. I mean, that's fast.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That's the immediate return. So
And yeah, and track it in lien law, see how these numbers change in the reporting.
exactly. Well, I mean, let's walk through it. Let's show how it actually looks in lien law.
Yeah, let me
Okay,
turn it over to you.
fantastic. All right, I am going to share my screen here. Give me a quick second. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Can see it. Yep.
Fantastic. So I set up a quick test client here. So we have webinar client, and Emery, you are our matter. I've already entered the time that's needed here. And let's start with, first of all, how do we set up Confido Legal and connect it with lien law? So when you first log into lien law, you'll get your calendar page here. You'll go over to the settings on the top right. In the side menu, scroll down to the bottom to where you see all the integrations. And right here, if you don't already have a Confido Legal account, you can click sign up to learn more. Or if you do have a Confido Legal account already created and set up, you can log right in and connect it. This is what's going to show when you are, oh, here we go. When you are logging in and creating your account for the first time, it is going to ask you to fill in an application. And I know that that's a thing that a lot of the customers that I talk to, they can get a little hung up on the application just because it's new, it's different, and they haven't seen that before. And this is how the application looks like. So Emery, can you walk us through why all these details on the application? Why are we filling out an application?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I mean, the majority of kind of the details on the application allow us to comply with the laws and regulations that we have to comply with as someone who's going to move money, for a firm. There's a lot of laws and regulations in our country around understanding if a money is moving, who is paying that and who is receiving that. And it's our responsibility to vet kind of the receiving end, in this case, the law firm, and understanding who, what business is receiving that, who owns that business. So there's kind of these beneficial owner rules where we have to verify the identity of anybody who owns 25% or more of the business. And actually that's kind of being expanded, or I don't know. Well, I don't want to get too much into politics. Maybe it's not going to expand, but at the current time, we do have to verify the identities of the owners of a firm.
Better
So most
safe
of
than
this
sorry,
goes,
right?
yeah. And this is all to ensure, to try to stop money laundering, to try to stop kind of funding of terrorism, et cetera. So,
Yep.
and so we're basically, that's what's happening here on the application. In addition, we want to make sure when you run that first transaction that we put the money in the right place. So you have to verify your bank accounts, kind of not too surprisingly there. And then the point I will make is, in effect, we're basically underwriting you as the law firm for a loan, right? Because we're part of the credit card processing system and the ACH system in the U.S. And in both of those systems, there's a mechanism for consumer disputes. And so you may get that money up front, but that money is still can be disputed for a period of time, and we won't get too deep into that, but
I could go forever. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
We could do a
We
whole
still
webinar
gotta set
on
it.
law firm
Yeah.
chargebacks and whatnot. But
And yeah, absolutely. We need to set a time to talk about that more, Emery, because I would love that.
um, but yeah, so but basically to some degree, that money, that revenue that's coming in through digital payments is in effect, a little bit like a loan. And so making sure that that you as the law firm are going to deliver those services and not receive a bunch of disputes that then you couldn't afford to cover. And of course, we're sort of next in line for that. So there is a small element of kind of like underwriting also that's going on. But the primary thing driving the application is, are the laws and regulations around moving money.
Yeah. So once a firm completes this information, the next step, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emery, is they will get a DocuSign, and once they have the signatures on the DocuSign, you are set to go. You'll get your customer ID. So once you have your customer ID, that just means that you're approved, you're fully good to go to connect Confido Legal and Lien Law. Now, I will say, I know that the application is quite detailed. Coming from a fraud prevention background, honestly, I would question any e-payment solution that doesn't ask me for this info. Just the fact that it's being asked tells me, like, okay, so my money is it's in safe hands. It's actually going to be handled appropriately. I don't have to worry about it. So going back to now with the Confido Legal in Lien Law, you were on the settings page under integrations. Let's just log right in. It's going to ask you to authorize the connection. You authorize that. And boom. That's all it is. That's all it takes. You'll see here that the ID is valid. That means that the application was accepted. You're good to go. You got your customer ID. The access token is valid, so the connection is good to go. And then these last two just show what kind of payment you're accepting. If you're accepting credit card or ACH or, either or. So once that is set up and done, it's really that simple. Then we can go into the fun part, which is actually customizing things. So now you can go into the invoice email section of Lien Law. You can click on email settings. And here, these are the global settings. We can get very granular with this, but generally speaking, we're just going to keep it to the global for now. This is where you can select what email address is going to send the email, so to speak. If you want anybody automatically CC'd, you can add them here. And this is just a general template. There's a lot of customization you can do, but for now, we'll just use the preset that is set here. And with Confido Legal, now that it's connected with Lien Law, you can include whether you want the full balance. So meaning if you send an invoice and you've been sending invoices for a while and they just have not paid fully, that pay balance link will include everything that's due on the account. Or if you want them to just pay that particular invoice, you can also include the invoice payment link. And it's
I'll
a
make a
matter of
plug for the full balance, payment link. I actually, one of the firms we work with doesn't accept digital payments, so they have moved to the bottom of the pile.
Oh my gosh.
And so we have 2 months of invoices paid, and I finally got around to to figuring out how to pay them, and then paid the most recent because they didn't have the full balance on there. And so we ended up paying that current month's, but not the previous month. So now that one's like more than 2 months old. So it's and it's not through any like lack of funds or malicious intent, but
Right.
the full balance, every bill communication should have the full balance on it, so a client can easily just pay it off.
Look, it's all about making it as frictionless as possible, right? If you tell me to go get a cup of water because I need to hydrate, I'm gonna whine and groan because I have to get up. But if a cup of water is in front of me, I don't have an excuse. I just pick it up and drink it, right?
Yep.
So those are the global settings in Lien Law. We're going to go back one more thing, because one of the benefits that I really love about Confido Legal is that you can also, it's not just about paying invoices regularly. It's about also being able to send a trust request and request clients to replenish their trust account, they can do that with a credit card or debit card. And you have that option in lien law with the integration with Confido Legal to request trust funds. There you go. It requests trust deposits. And bonus, you can also, when you have those clients that are going to take a little bit of time paying their invoice, we have a very easy way for you to send them a quick reminder of, hey, just letting you know you still have this balance due. Let's get you caught up.
And
So
I understand. I don't. I'm probably saying something I shouldn't, but something I'm excited about is kind of support for that's coming out soon. I think is the support for multiple trust accounts. So
oh yes.
multi-state firms that want to be able to route those trust requests into multiple accounts based on rules.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And that gets me so excited. So I have one of my favorite things about all of this is, what takes up the most time is you get the payment, right? You then have to, if you're using QuickBooks already, you have to go into QuickBooks, you have to record the payment. If it's a trust payment, you have to make sure that the funds, if they get deposited, they have to get deposited to the right account. If they go to the operating, there's so much that you have to do just to make sure that it's recorded and compliant. And with the Confido Legal and Lean Law integration, all of that is just skipped. If you have a trust account connected, you send the trust request, the funds get routed to the trust account, Lean Law creates the journal entries needed in the trust account. That's it. That's all it is. All you have to do is just reconcile at whenever you do your account reconciliation.
Yep.
So I went ahead and created all this, billable time and everything, and I'm going to create an invoice. And this is, again, I'm so excited. It's going to take me so little time. Boom. Draft invoice successfully created. Let me go to my drafts now. And we had webinar client. So I'm going to click on it. This all looks good. Okay. So far, I don't need to make any adjustments. We're just, going to submit it. Okay, let's give it a second. It's reviewing, sending. Aha. I need an email address for the client. So let me go ahead and add an email address. See, it lets me know. I'm so excited. Okay. And it's as simple as going to the invoice, to the webinar client, and I'm going to add myself as a contact. There we go. Perfect. All right, let me go back to drafts and make sure that went ahead and fixed it. Approve and submit. Done. Fantastic. All right. So now I've finalized the invoice. It's been sent over to QuickBooks, and we're going to be able to see it here in Lien Law. But here's also the benefit. We see that they have $100 in their trust account. We see that they have the balance of $3,510. I can click on the email section. And this is where, let's say you have a client that you're like, you know what? I don't want them to pay just the invoice. They should pay everything. That's where you can, down here, scroll to the bottom and just check that off. And you can do that client by client, matter by matter, however you want to set it up. When you're sending out the invoice, you can choose what actually shows up as the payment link. Now, I'm pretty good with all of this. I just want to go ahead and send it. Done. That's it. I just sent my invoice. Now, I'm going to double check here. Boom. And now you can track the delivery of that invoice on the track sent emails page in Lien Law. You go over to the client, right? That's still unpaid. And you'll see that the email delivery is processing. Boom, delivered. We're done. That's it. That's how easy it is to just go through the invoice, adjust what needs to be adjusted, send it to QuickBooks, send it through Lien Law, and it will automatically create the relevant payment link in Confido Legal so that your client can pay. Now, what if your client is, again, not really remembering to pay their invoice? You need that little nudge. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Done. And there's your email reminder. It's in the process of sending. Let's refresh and double check.
I'll say one thing too while you're doing that about just from talking to a lot of firms about their relationship with money and talking about money, it can be like a really challenging thing for
Oh
some
yeah.
people to discuss, and having this kind of like auto reminder, that's a little bit more like, hey, this is just kind of like our system, sends these out. Um, and to some degree, you can kind of like avoid, one of these sort of interactions talking about money,
Oh
where
yes.
it doesn't necessarily have to feel like a personalized, like, hey, I'm asking you for money. It's like our system is asking you for money.
Right.
Kind of a nice, a nice, a nice ad, so you don't have to necessarily, maybe you're putting off invoice reminders because you don't want to ask for money. This is a good alternative.
Right. Exactly. And I'm going to show here, this is what your client sees in the email. Remember that email template we had? Boom, there it is. It's the button that says to pay. I will go ahead and click on pay, and I can choose to make a payment. There we go. And this is what your client sees. And why, I know I'm going to go back to the Venmo thing, but Emery, can you tell us, like, why is this important?
Well, I mean, for one, it's just a lot easy. Like, as the accounts payable person, I can click this. I don't have to fish around for like, oh, what did I owe? What was on this invoice? It's already like pre-populated for me, and all I have to do, especially if, I've got, my banking information or my card information saved on my browser, which a lot of people do, it pre-populates, you hit pay, and it's all done
Yeah.
from. And then the great thing about it is, refresh the page. If you paid it all, it'll tell you it's paid. So if you're going back to that link later thinking, did I pay that? Instead of calling the firm,
Right.
and saying, how am I doing? They click the link and it'll show you, like, if you made a partial payment on this link, it'll update with the with the partial amount due, or if it was fully paid, it'll say it's fully paid.
Oh, yeah, and I will show that here. So we got, once you have your Confido Legal set up, and you have your account ready, this is what you'll see on the Confido Legal side. And as you can see, we got that webinar client with Emery as our matter, and we just created the payment link that was outstanding. So we see that it's had is 0. 0 has been paid. We have the full balance outstanding. So let's go ahead and make a quick payment.
I'll say
But
too, this is the default branding on the link, but you can change the colors. You can
oh
add your
yeah.
logo. You can really, kind of personalize this. So sort of the anti-Venmo.
No, I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. I had and that's one of the things that I've also worked with when I did commissions and freelancing. I did Stripe payments, and it was difficult to customize it at times, and Confido Legal just makes it so simple that I kind of want that for freelancing, where it's just, the settings, there's literally just the entire tab that says branding, and you can customize so much.
Let's get
I
some
love
good
it.
colors on there, Jay. Like, make it,
Okay.
I think it should be neon.
Neat. I did a challenge with myself a while back where I wanted to make a page design that was the most unfriendly, the most visually unfriendly page.
Yeah, no contrast.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't forget to
Beautiful.
save it. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and save that. All right, let's refresh the page and see if it took. Oh my gosh, it
Yeah,
did.
that's awesome.
Oh my goodness. All right. So yeah, we have the payment link here. This is the home page where you're going to see all your payment links. And if you actually click into the client, you'll get the additional details, the overview, the matters, the payment links. There's so much that you can do, but let's keep it simple. Let's just make a quick payment. Everything's totally fine. I just want to pay $3,000. And we'll do yeah, my email, J. And one of the things that I really love about the email is, I don't know about you, but especially if I'm getting an invoice from an attorney, I am eyeing the balance and sweating sweating the balance. And so every penny counts. And if I can justify that I paid that penny, I will absolutely do so. So I love that as a client, I can have my own record that I made a payment, not just my bank, but the fact that I paid. And then so does the firm. All right.
And I know, Jay, you don't have this enabled on the link, but there's also the ability to add automatic surcharging.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if the client enters a credit card number, then they see a new amount, but they still have kind of free to them options, so they can pay with debit card or their bank account and avoid that fee. Um,
Right
yeah.
here in the settings. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and that, obviously, it doesn't force the client into the fee. It's not the resort fee when you show up to the hotel and you realize that they kind of bait and switched you.
Right.
You can avoid it. But if they are going to get if they really want to finance it or get the airline miles, then they're going to cover, that transaction. And that typically eliminates about 50 to 80% of the costs, overall.
Yeah.
So if you're paying $1,000 a month in fees, you're going to save 6,000, call it $10,000 a year, on
Absolutely.
processing. So this is a pretty big impact. And um, if you can do it on trust payments too, so that surcharge amount never gets deposited into the trust account. So you're not going to have more money in any of your trust or IOLTA accounts than you expect. So it won't
Absolutely.
update that link. That link you have to update specifically since it's already been created. So if you go to pay,
I Yeah, I'd love what I want to see is, because we just enabled it. Um I know we can edit this to add the surcharge, but what I'd like to see is how that looks like on a trust request.
yeah, this was an invoice, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
so if
this
you
one
were to
is,
create a trust request, then yeah,
yeah.
like I said, so that surcharge amount gets kind of broken off and accounted for differently and not deposited into that trust account. So
And the surcharge costs, if we're doing a trust request, let's pay this invoice. And we're just going to make this partial payment of $3,000
love
because
the
yeah,
fuchsia spinner.
there we go. Yeah. Well, I, as the client, I have money in my trust, so I want them to take it out of my trust. But we're going to run into a little bit of a hiccup. So it's now been the payment has been completed. I got the receipt already. And here is where we can see that receipt. We're done. It's ready to go. So now that that's been completed, let's go back to our Confido screen and let's see. It's only partially paid because we only paid 3,000. So if we go to our lien law account and we refresh, oh, that's already been calculated for. So I don't have to go and mark this invoice as paid. I don't have to do it's already been updated. So now I want to send just a quick reminder like we did before, where let's remove this because it did get partially paid. And I just want to send a quick reminder to say, hey, actually, you're missing a little bit. Um, but now I want to actually I talked to the client, they want to have trusts applied instead. So that's where we can go to lien law under trust accounts and request the funds. And if they have $100 in their trust webinar client and they have 510, let's request 410. There you go. It
Since this is a
pre-fills.
webinar about improving your collection rate, we should request more.
That's true. I'll keep it at 410 for now, but you make a fantastic point. Um, and now we see that trust request created a payment link now here. Perfect. And since I'm going to copy this payment link. We're going to go ahead and just update that there. But
I
since
think yeah, if this client wasn't set up, because you can adjust surcharging on a perk. Oh yeah, it did get enabled.
there you go. And that's the messaging that they'll see. So I mean, it's pretty straightforward when we have, we'll go ahead and just make the quick payment here. But as I'm typing out this quick payment, I want to understand a little bit more. So a common question that we have is, okay, it's great they can pay with credit card or, ACH, but what does it the ACH costs are too high. We have $30. It's 1% for all ACH transactions, capped at $30. But you have firms that are using the wire transfer. Why would they want to use ACH?
Yeah, and I think if they're using those payment methods and those, like, let's say they have ACH set up with their bank and it's like nominally free. Most banks are really good at hiding, the actual costs. But let's say it's basically free for ACH at a bank. If you have clients that have already gone through the process of, like, filling out the form and like being set up on the bank, just keep allowing those clients to pay, that way. This is really designed to take would-be credit card transactions and move them to a less expensive payment method. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily designed to replace your ACH acceptance. It's a user-friendly way to take expensive payments and move them to less expensive methods. So we want to put it right next to the card option. And of course, the benefit that you get if you do use this kind of ACH system compared to the one at your bank is everything that Jay just showed. The whole process is automated end to end, and so that's kind of like the value there.
I'd also say, that and because of that automation, I mean, how much time are you spending in your reconciliation? Maybe moving any additional fees you might get from like wire transfers or anything. Like if it's free, that's, it works out. But if you're doing additional fees and you're doing that with your trust accounts, how much time are you spending actually reconciling that account, moving those fees to the operating to actually show that you're drawing from the right account and making sure you're fully compliant? How much time is that worth for you? If you didn't have to do that, what else could you do to make your own, to increase revenue at the firm, to make your own job easier to do?
Mhm.
So, I mean,
And I
Confido
think
Legal already does that.
for new clients who haven't gone through the process of signing up kind of for ACH with your bank, or signing up, whatever that process looks like, um, as a business owner myself, I have someone who does accounts payable, and they have our credit card, they have our banking information, but they don't have the authority to send a wire transfer. And so anytime you can have an invoice that falls into that category, it's just going to get, like, if I can sort of outsource the payment, it's going to get paid faster. So going back to kind of those four things that we talked about
Yeah.
initially, like the chances of it being easily paid by an accounts payable person is much higher if all they have to do is enter their banking information and not go through kind of a bespoke process, fill out forms, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we just paid the trust request that was sent through lien law. That's been marked as fully paid here. So now we actually have the balance available in our trust to pay that 510. So if we go back to lien law and we go back to manage invoices, what do you know? Look at that. The trust now matches. I didn't have to do anything. That was so automatic, so simple. And so now I just have to click on pay from trust. How much do I want to pay? Fantastic. And now once the page refreshes, you'll see that we're done. They're now paid. their balance got updated. They are now listed as paid. And if we go back to Confido Legal, we should see that their invoice is marked as paid. And that it's that simple. It's that easy to just have it happen. And the best part, which is why I love with the whole integration with Confido Legal, is you don't, if your client wants to pay you in a different way, you don't have to give up your old process. But the fact is, most firms that I talk to, I have yet to meet a firm that signs up for Confido Legal, uses it with their clients, and decides to go with something else. I've literally never spoken to a firm that wants to do that because it's just so automated and so simple.
And like we're showing a lot of what's happening on the back end in Confido, but the goal really is for you as the one focused on billing to stay in lien law and not have to bounce between systems. So
Yeah.
you really should only be going to Confido for more detailed reports and things like that.
Speaking of reports,
Yeah,
great segue.
tee it up.
Yeah, because we have, how can you track that you're actually getting the collections? Where are you at and where are you going with your collections? And we actually at Lean Law have an advanced report that's called Firm Collections. It's currently in beta, but it does show, and it's going to take a little bit to load as it's loading all the data we just we just clicked into, but it will show the collection rate of your firm, and you can use that percentage to track how much time it takes to, for somebody to pay. And with Confido Legal as well, what I also really enjoy is that you have this reporting section that if you wanted, like you said, to drill even deeper, you can see how much time does it take to pay. We've got a fantastic payment time in this period. 0.1
Been doing a
days.
lot of demos recently.
Cannot beat that. 0.1 days. So, yeah, and like I said, this is going to take just a teensy bit while it's caching everything, but we will get there. And then once you have that percentage, this is where you can also set notifications. So when the percentage decreases, you want to be notified of that, you can set up a notification on this report as well.
Yeah, and I think,
And
I mean, it's so important to like just going back again to that slide, like making sure that you're getting the value out of, out of, and not just the digital payments, but like the lien law digital payments combined solution. Like if you come to lien law, you should see these metrics like significantly improve over time. And the payment timeline should come down, putting more cash in your bank, more cash for investment, etc. So tracking these numbers and having the ability to easily track them, I think is just so important. And that's I think a big reason firms don't invest in technology, because they can't see the improvement. And it's really cool what you all have done to like present this in like big green numbers.
yeah. Yeah, and as you can see, we're not doing too great for March for this quarter. We're not doing so hot. But hopefully we just connected our Confido legal account, so hopefully that'll pick right up for the next quarter.
Yep.
All right.
I'll go
So
back and pay off your demo links.
that's what we need to do. We need to go comb through them. Oh my goodness. All right. So I believe that's the top question, and I think we've answered the top questions that I've mainly gotten from firms is, why will clients use it? Yeah. Honestly, yes. You need to give them the option. They're not going to tell you that that's the option they want. That's why you need to enable it for them, and they'll use it. If they have the option, they will.
There's also not like a ton of downside to enabling. If they don't use it, they don't use it, and
Right.
it's it's not costing you anything if they don't use it.
And that's a great point there. With the integration, if you're using both Leanline and Confido Legal, you're not paying anything for Confido Legal if they don't use it. There's no monthly fees. You are only paying the processing fees when they make a transaction. And those processing fees are, 2.95% on all cards, 3.45% on the American Express cards, and then at ACH, 1% capped at $30 per transaction. And so if at the end of the day you decide, like, you know what, I'm going to give them the option, but they decide to send you a wire transfer, that doesn't change your process. All right. So I believe I'm gonna stop sharing here because I think we've gotten over the all the fun stuff inside lien law. So Emery, I let me see. I don't think we have any questions so far in the chat. I'm gonna open it up. Are there any questions? And I'll give it a few moments there.
I mean, one question that I know we get a lot, as in lien law and Confido, is like, hey, I have payments through QuickBooks. Like, why,
Mm.
you know, um, why would I do something different? And I think, one of the biggest benefits is that a lot of the features that you showed are kind of only available through the kind of the tight integration there. Another one is just you can't hook up multiple bank accounts to QuickBooks. So if you want to deposit money into trusts at all, you have to have a separate system to do that. And like you said, that then becomes super manual, a really manual process. So you're running like a separate system for trust, and a separate for operating. The surcharging feature, that's something not available in QuickBooks, which, as I mentioned, could has a pretty big, pretty sizable financial impact on the payment processing fees. And then, I'd say lastly is, if something ever went wrong, do you want to be in the queue, calling into it, or, do you want to be texting me asking for help? And some people definitely would want to be in the queue and into it, but I'm sure there are also people out there that, would like to be able to sort of text the CEO founder and, tell them, this is super important.
100%. Oh my gosh.
We
And
also
yes,
have regular support. It's not, this is not just me feeling text messages.
Emery personally.
I was just making a point.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you're totally right. I mean, one of the best things that I love, because I interact with the Confido legal support team fairly frequently as well, is how responsive the Confido legal team is. We work very closely together on just overall when it comes to, the payment links, when it comes to the sync, how it works with lien law, and then also with lien law, we take ownership of a lot of that data transfer into QuickBooks. So with having a lien law account, you have access to our support team. I'm also, manager of customer success at lien law with the customer success team. It's in the name. We're here to make you successful. You have a goal, we're here to help you achieve it. So I've yet to see I've yet to see anybody else be as responsive and as collaborative as the combination between Confido Legal and Lien Law. So
I'd say the other thing I'll add to that too is, like, we work exclusively with law firms. So,
mhm.
you want to call in and get to somebody who knows the importance of, the trust accounting rules, who knows the rules of professional conduct, who calls you a law firm, not a merchant.
A merch.
If if you want all of those things, then yeah.
Absolutely. So we got 5 minutes to wrap up here. So as we're wrapping up, I do want to mention for attendees, we do have the option, and I believe you might have it on your screen, Emery.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
totally shirked my duties there. Let's get
No,
back.
you're good. For yeah, there we go. So
But we
for
only did questions. I'm way behind here. Next.
yeah, for people who have not signed up for lien law yet, and you're interested in learning more about lien law, After the webinar, you're going to receive an email from Amy Eller. She's one of our staff members here at Lean Law, and she will get you the slides for this webinar. She'll get you the recordings. We'll also include resources like the law firm financial report card. And also, we have a special offer for firms who sign up to both Lean Law and Confido Legal. Lean Law will cover your first month of your processing fees through Confido Legal. So that eliminates all the risk. There's literally it's costing you nothing. It's just a matter of testing it out and take a look, see if it works for your firm. And then for current customers that may be tuning in, that offer does extend to you as well. You already have a Lean Law account. If you sign up for Confido Legal, we will cover the first month of your processing fees through Confido Legal, and test it out. See how your clients respond and see if you can get that collection rate picked up.
Yeah, it'd be fun to watch that tick up
Yes.
in the big green numbers in Lean Law.
And especially if you're a current customer already and you just need like that extra hand holding to, maybe you just want to make sure you did it right. You've got me. You can email success@myleanlaw.com and I will hop on a call with you and I will make sure that you have everything set up, ready to go, answer any questions, and we'll track your collection rate. Let's make a goal together and let's help you achieve it.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think thinking just back to the title of the webinar and the kind of the profit piece, if if you can make a few percentage point increase in your collection rate, and you'll be able to see that in Lean Law. Think about your profit margin, and what that additional revenue, knowing that goes straight to your bottom line. What does that do to your profit? And it's a really meaningful impact when you kind of run the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, fantastic. Emery, it was fantastic to have a webinar with you. It's way too long, way too long in the works. So I'm excited to finally get to connect with you and work together on this. And if there are any questions for anybody, again, feel free to reach out, success@myleanlaw.com. Amy's going to reach out as well with additional info.
Oh,
Emery,
we
any
have one
parting
more.
words?
Nope. I said my piece about the profit.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me, Jay. I really appreciate it.
All right.